All right, aloha and welcome to the Own the Outcome podcast. My name is Tyler Devereaux, and I'm here with Blake Dailey. Blake, what's up, bro? Thanks for being here.
Tyler, what's up, man? Excited to be here.
Dude, excited to have you. Thanks for taking the time, man. I'm excited to dive into your journey. It's you know, we connected recently on Instagram, and I'm impressed with what you put together and how you started putting it together. That's what I thought was awesome because you started investing while you're in the military, correct?
I did, yeah. Active duty the whole time I've been investing up until about 3 months ago.
So let's talk about a little bit about your journey, a little bit about your background. Then I want to go through more, tactical things of what you're doing and how you're doing it. But tell
Yeah.
them about your journey and how you started, I guess.
Yeah, so started out as a new active duty Air Force officer, green behind the ears, 22 years old, and used my VA loan to buy my first property. So, like, what a better way to start than zero down? You don't need money because I didn't have any money. So it's kind of perfect. And like during that time, I remember we were staying in like a temporary lodging facility on base, waiting to close our first house. And like I'd already been bitten by the real estate bug. So I was already handwriting letters to property owners in the area. We were in Panama City, Florida at the time, and they had just got hit by a category 5 hurricane like 9 months before we got there. So like I showed up and it was a war zone. I was like, oh crap, this is crazy. What did the Air Force send me into? But I was like, it kind of looks like opportunity, you know? So started writing these handwritten letters and would drive for dollars, write down the addresses. My wife would put the return addresses on the stamps on them. Like we were 2 weeks married at the time. And I was like, hey, we're going to be real estate investors now. And started doing that and got a few properties under contract. So we closed our first one in July of 2019 with a VA loan, then closed on literally 30 days to the day after on a seller finance direct to seller deal that I found some partners at a local meetup on. Exactly 30 days after that, closed another one that was a flip. So like the first 90 days, we had 3 deals, and I was like, oh man, I think we're on something, and just kept going from there.
Bro, I didn't know that part. And I love that part because you didn't know. I mean, you didn't know anything, right? Or you just dove full force because you saw an opportunity. Or what made you be like, I'm diving in?
Dude, it was just manufactured confidence. I was like, I've got no business, showing up in these sellers' houses, trying to negotiate a deal. But like I felt just dangerous enough, right? Listen to podcasts, reading the books that I could go in there and at least sound like I knew what I was doing. And then I was like, then it just becomes the work, right? Then like the ball's in my court to fulfill that promise and be able to get the deal done, find the pieces, whether it was, a capital partner, a partner to help with the rehab, the right contractors, like all the different pieces you need to put together your first deal when you're not the money guy, right? Like all you have is your hustle. Like I didn't even have experience, so I literally
Mm-hmm.
just had the work, the sweat of my brow kind of to go off of. And I was like, if that's all I got, man, I'm gonna hit it as hard as I can.
I love that so much, man, because I believe a key trait from those who are very successful to those who aren't is the span between what we feel like we need to know before what we take before we take action. Like it's like a lot of times it's like I need to know all this before I'm able to take action. In reality, the real learning comes from diving in full force and
Yeah, you
using
just
what
got to
you
do it.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
man, it's like
using what
the
you
the
have.
action is the most important thing because that metaphorical list that you could hold up would never end, right? There's always more
Yeah.
things that you would need to be 100% confident to do a deal, whether it's your first live-in flip or your house hacking, like very low risk, right? Because you need a place to live anywhere. And it's probably going to be cheaper than rents, like the lowest risk thing you could do still has a long list of things that you don't know, or jumping into like your first commercial deal. And it's like you're never going to, get past that if you don't just take the action to do it because you learn through doing. And as long as like my whole thing is like taking the calculated risks to kind of well, in the beginning I didn't have anything to lose anyway, but like never
Yeah.
bet it all on one horse, like never make them a decision that could make you bankrupt or hopefully not, but like push yourself and just leap in and like cover your downside as much as you can because like the upside you don't even know what it could be, right? If you never jump on it. So
That's it, man. You said manufactured confidence earlier, bro. You said all I had was manufactured confidence. How did you manufacture? Where did that come from? How did you do that?
oh man, that's a good question. I think probably just from hubris, maybe youthful exuberance, but no, I think it came from like growing up, like I knew I wanted to go into business. And once I got the real estate bug, like a lot of people, read Rich Dad Poor Dad, then fell down the bigger pockets rabbit hole, and like credit to their community, especially at that time, for putting enough out there for you to go take action on. So I felt
Mhm.
like at the very least I knew enough to stumble into a deal. And then I think it's whether you're calling an owner, like cold calling, or sending a mailer, like you've got to put the smile on your face before you press send, right? Like you've got to just build
Yeah.
up your own confidence. Or when like you're sending a mailer, you've got to, you know, portray kind of the potential that's there. And I think it's like trusting in your potential, knowing that when you go through with this, you're going to put in the work that it requires to do the thing that you want to do. So
Mm.
knowing that, me, like personally, as like a workhorse, I played, football at the Air Force Academy as a guy who should not have played D1, not athletic enough, not fast enough, but it was just the work ethic to get to that point, and then like bringing that same thing to business. So I think if you're willing to put in the work, if you manufacture that confidence and get yourself the opportunity to execute on that work, then you can do it. So it's like this confidence piece of like, you almost have to be before you are to get to what you want to
Mm.
be.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Man, there's so much gold. There's so much gold in what you just said. I want to make sure people don't miss what you just said, because it's literally success leaves clues, right? And those are little nuggets that you just said. Like even the call portion, your state literally changed when you talked about it. You said, before I make this owner call, you got to put on that smile, and you got to be like,
Mhm.
that's it. You're changing your
Yeah.
state, right? And
Yeah.
I bet, did you learn that in sports? Like, because I mean, I know that I played football, and I know that that's what I did. Like, you put on the uniform literally, and you're like,
Yeah, you
let's
you
fucking
pull
go.
the helmet over, like what looks out of the face mask is like a different version of you. Like that's the
100%.
that's the dog eat dog version, line up across from me, and you're going to be filmed the next day kind of mentality. And yeah, I think when you translate that into business, know that like your advantage as the entrepreneur is you're willing to do the work other people aren't, right? Because you're trying to build something. You're not satisfied with the job that you're in, or the career path that you're on, or whatever life has dealt you to that point. Maybe you grew up wanting, and now you have the opportunity to go chase those things that you wanted, those things that you didn't have growing up. Most people don't make that decision. Most people don't make that jump. So you, by already putting yourself in that position to do real estate investing, or to start a business or whatever it is, like you've already got something that most people don't have, and then you just got to freaking go for it. And I think that's where it comes from, is just this willingness to not let your current situation or your current standing, your bank account right now, not let that define you, but chase the vision, because you're never going to get there if you don't take the action. You're never going to learn the things that you need to be the person in the future that you want to be, unless you're willing to go through the grind, right? Like go through the whole, whatever, the rocky cutscene phase of, you've got to
Yeah.
be willing to put in that work. But if you do, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. And there's like all this fear of failure, fear of rejection. Oh, they're going to, turn down my offer. I'm not good enough, whatever that is all just shit in our mind that we tell ourselves that's really not true. It's just all like
Yeah.
a barrier to taking the action. It's like, dude, if you just do the thing, like you'll find out that those things aren't even true.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What is up, y'all? Listen, if this podcast has brought joy or value at some point as you're listening to it, we would love it if you would be so kind as to leave us a review down below. That is how we keep this thing moving and finding individuals just like you to pour value into. Now let's get back to the show.
Man, that's exactly it. And we all do it. I know you still do it at this level. I still do it at my level. We all do it, dude. We still do it.
100%.
But the key is to overcome it, recognize it, catch it, correct it, and move forward regardless.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I'm still talking to myself here, right? Like this is something I face, and that, like you mentioned, that you face, just at a different level, right? It's like, now you're calling whatever it might be, in my position, a commercial broker who traded $1 billion of real estate. And I got to go as the guy who's bought a lowly $25 million of real estate and convince him that I'm worth his time. But it's that manufactured confidence, right? It's trying to like get something that I want, give him something that he wants. It's like, this is going to be a win-win. I'm trying to show him the value that I bring to that relationship. And that plays out 100 different ways.
okay, but this is, I want to hone in on this part, because you said earlier, it's essentially be, do, have, right? You have to be that person before you are that person, right? You can't let your current state, your bank account, I love how you said that, your bank account, your current state define you. You have to let that vision define you, but it's backed by action, right? It's like, You know what you want, you know why you want it. And now it's like the how, you know, you're going to figure it out, dude, because you're committed to figuring it out. So you cast the vision. One of my favorite books is called Be Your Future Self Now by Ben Hardy. I don't know if you've read that book, but phenomenal. Most people get so caught up and they can't see them. They know the result is, but they haven't focused on who they need to be to get that result. And so your point, you're talking to this big, you know, hedge fund manager, whoever it is that you're talking to, who is you see as this next level above you. I just want to make sure everybody gauges what you just said, because it's literally the key. It's like, okay, it's not about where they're at, where you're at. It's about what can you do to provide value to them? What is 100%. That? And then you go in with that identity, with that mentality. And that's what it is. That's the key. So yeah. So like that aspect of it, I think is absolutely massive. And I hone in on, I know like we've probably spent, I don't even know how long we've been talking, but we spent a long time on this topic, because I think that this is where people miss it. It's an identity piece that they miss because they're not willing to take the action, and the action breeds the identity, right?
Yeah, that's so true, man. You've got to go out there and kind of go through, you know, and let's be honest, like you'll go through some rejections doing this. You'll go through some failures doing this. But what I've found time and time again is, you know, that failure, that rejection, that thing you were afraid of, the thing that you're trying to get is right on the other side of it. So you just got to blow through that wall, go around it, jump over it, like whatever it is. Like I think so many times, and I've done this myself, like we get in our own ways because it's the fear, it's the doubt, it's the worry, but you got to let who you want to be bigger than like those fears and those doubts. And you literally got, and I had this thing, like tangible example, like when I was buying my first boutique hotels, right? I had 8 short-term rentals, jumped up about 8-unit building, and then it turned into another 15, another 14, another 18, and a 20 unit in like a 12-month span. So, you know, 5, 10x, whatever, like 5 or 8x in that time span, with the amount of units I had, the amount of employees that we now had, the amount of revenue we were now making. And I still felt like I was like not quite a hotel investor. Like I was still trying to prove myself to myself in a way to be like worthy of like the portfolio that we just built. But then like looking back, I was like, I had to be in, you know, and I was like in this zone of like, I'm going to figure out how to do it. Like I was doing 5 projects at the same time while active duty. They're in 3 markets spread across the country. And like, it didn't make sense how we kind of got through that, but I was just living the part, not even kind of knowing it at the time. And then like fast forward a little bit, now like going through that, now I've got the confidence. Now I've built it. So like before it was manufactured confidence. You do the thing, then you go through the fire, you get, you know, kind of battle tested, so to speak. And then, you know, you have this improved version of yourself, but you also, you know, you need to assume some of that to get there in the first place, right? And then that gets you up to a level, right? You stair-stepped up, and then you got to do the same thing to get to the next level. So it's like you have multiple versions of this. And I know entrepreneurs who are far, far ahead of me, you know, they go through these growth phases and get to a plateau, and they got to redefine that, you know, their identity, what they're all about, what they're, you know, reassess the future vision. Because a lot of times, you know, you get there, and I got there faster than I thought I would have, like, oh shit, this is bigger than what I was originally imagining. Because I was just head down grinding, right? Like just assuming that manufactured confidence in the beginning, and it becomes this confidence that then propels you forward. But no, like you've got to get into this rhythm of just being comfortable, knowing that you're going somewhere new. Your feet haven't walked that path before. So you're just going to get berated at all sides of new things, you know, learning lessons, failures. You're going to lose a little bit of money on your way to making more money. That's just part of the entrepreneurship journey. And you kind of, I don't know, man, the bad part of entrepreneurship is sometimes you just got to be willing to get kicked in the teeth and smile through it. Right. And then,
amen.
And then through that, you got enough money to go buy dentures.
That's it, bro. Oh, you just nailed that description, because that is literally what it is at every level. I was going to ask you as you're going through it, I was going to say, do you think that ever changes? Meaning this, I felt like I was trying to prove myself as this, you know, as a boutique hotel investor. And I was like, do you think that ever changes? Because it doesn't. That initial thing will change as you elevate your identity, but you're always chasing, man. And
Yeah.
right before we started this, you have an event coming up. But by the way, any of you who are interested in boutique hotels should go to this event. It's the Boutique Hotel Con. It's September 13th through 15th. And he was telling me about it. And what I loved about what you're doing, I thought it was so unique, bro, is that you're doing it at one of your boutique hotels, correct?
Yeah, it's happening at the hotel. So like I just envisioned as we've gone along, like even at the smaller hotels, like they had 18 rooms, right? I was like, what if I could get 15 people to come like experience this with me? Like I love the creativity and the creation. And there's so much like pieces that have to come together to like bring it like to turn this old, ugly, tired asset into something that's nice and that you can actually call a boutique hotel. And that just evolved into now we've got 130 units on 10 acres with mountain views right by the Smoky Mountain National Park and an event venue. And I was like, here's where that dream comes to fruition is hosting the conference here while we're under renovations too. So we'll have, by that time, enough renovated rooms to house most of the people. So if you buy your ticket early, you get the renovated room, and get to see the non-renovated too, but also rooms that are under renovation currently. So you get to see every phase of the project. We'll go through our operations, and not only are you going to learn how to find deals and raise capital and structure your deals, design them, all that stuff, operate them, right? Like all the tangible pieces, but you get to go see it in practice happening real time. And your lodging ticket is included in the price. I was like, dude, no brainer.
Yeah, sick. Seriously, I think it's such a unique offer because being in an environment, any type of an event like that is huge. But being in the environment, in the actual environment, bro, the amount of learning that will take place there is huge. Like the minute you told me about it, I was like, that is so sick. But here's what's crazy. This is what I want to point out. I hope you're okay with me doing this because as we were going through, you said, something along the lines of like, yeah, I got my first event coming up and I'm pretty nervous about it. I'm nervous about it. It's my first one.
Yeah.
Right?
Very much so.
Same shit. It's the same shit. It's like, if you're pursuing anything, the way that you know that you're growing is if you feel that way. And I already know you know it because of just how you correct yourself. I don't even know if you caught how you correct yourself, but I just want to give everybody a peek off camera. So off camera, before we start all this, we're talking about the hotel, the Boutique Hotel Con. And he says, I was thinking to myself, like, how amazing it would be to get, you said 150 people or whatever there. And then you're like, we have about 50, but in reality, man, even if I could get 15 people there would be amazing. Cause man, I got to have my gratitude exceed my expectations.
Yep, I did say that. And that's what I'm trying to do. And you know what the funny thing about that is, like, I'm still having this, I don't know if I want to call it necessarily imposter syndrome, but it's all the doubt and the fears that we've talked about. Like I'm hosting my first conference, a bigger one that people are paying money to come to. And I'll come to this place with kind of like all eyes on me in a way of like, what's this guy all about? Is this hotel shit? Is he a bad speaker? Like how many ways could this go wrong? Right. Just playing out all the fears. But what I'm doing to like squash the fear is just doing. So it's like, we've got the weekly deep dive planning conference, the planning meetings of all the stuff that's going into the conference and what, how we're going to provide value to the people. It's, it's the planning, it's building my presentations, it's building out our speaker list. So like I'm doing the work to squash the fear. So I'm like, if I do this work, it's going to be a really good freaking event. So then it's like, stop being worried about it because you're doing the things that's going to produce the result that you want. So I'm doing it the same way, right? And like it's the same thing to get this hotel. Like before we closed, it was a 7-month contract period. Like I've never been under contract so long. It almost fell out multiple times. I raised double the amount of money. Well, me and the other co-GPs raised double the amount of money that we needed because big investors backed out multiple times because of how long it went. Thankfully, we closed before the end of the year and was able to lock in the tax benefits. That was a big piece of it. But what I would do is like on several trips there, it's like walking the property and just like visualizing, like I'm going to do the work that it takes to get this mother effer closed. And that's how I talk to myself. I was like, buckle up, mother effer. That's how I talk to myself. I'm like, we're getting this sucker closed. See it now because it's going to happen. And like, I didn't know exactly how. I didn't know who the investors were going to be that were going to come in to complete the raise so that we could, close the property. But it's like through doing the work that you get past the fear stuff. So came full circle there.
Bro, that's how you own the outcome. Like the title of the podcast is Own the Outcome. And you literally just laid out the framework of how to do it. which is action. Like I literally typed it out the minute you said it. You said, what I'm doing to overcome the fear is taking action. And then you said, doing the work to squash the fear. Do the work to squash the fear. Man, I love how you talk to yourself. That's how I talk to myself, man. I haven't told anybody this, but I'm creating, I have a number of events, but now I'm creating a new, more advanced event that I want to do. And I love creating these, bro. And I was listing out the other day, when I get in this frame, it's like, what am I great at? You know, because anytime I start feeling overwhelmed, I just list everything out, everything that's on my plate. And then it's like, okay, what am I great at? What do I enjoy doing? And then I can, you know, offset the rest. And one of the things that I wrote out was like, I am great at creating events, like this, like the structure of an event and how it works. But I haven't created, like I have created some here and there, certainly, but like I haven't like created a big, like I'm trying to create now for probably, I don't know, a year and a half or so, like a new one, a true new one. And so how I wrote it out, literally in my notes, it said, I'm great at creating, you know, event, the experience, blah, blah, blah. And then underneath it as a sub point, I put, prove it, motherfucker. Do a new one. That's how I said, that's how I talk to myself, bro. I'm the same way, man.
That.
Prove it.
I do the same thing, man. You should see my, you know, my whiteboard, my sticky notes. It's like, this is the stuff that gets done. And then, you know, what I like to is like that doer mentality, that action mentality. You manufacture more confidence by getting the stuff done. You know, like after you host this event, I guarantee you're going to be on the other side of it and be like, damn, we could have done bigger, or we could have done better, or whatever it is, right? We could have, you know, the venue could have been different, the speaker. So there's going to be something you're like, all right, now we're going to go do that. And it's just this, you know, you mentioned it earlier. It's this chase. And when this conversation comes up, I think a lot of people who maybe feel, I don't know, contentment or whatever it might be, bring up like, when is enough? Like me and you both are probably could already be set, not, you know, kind of sell a business or, you know, get ourselves passive in it, step out, let the, you know, passive income do what it does and be passive and provide income. But it's this like chase of being blissfully dissatisfied. It's like, I'm happy with where I'm at. But God dang, dude, I like the push. I like the chase. I like having these fears and these anxieties and then busting them and like becoming a better, you know, more refined, improved version, more productive version. And just this self pursuit of trying to be the best human, provide the most value. And, you know, I think from a business perspective, like the more value you provide, the more income you make, the more people, you know, the more like your sphere increases, the more powerful they get in their own lives. And just this really cool effect that you elevate the people around you and just getting these bigger and better spheres. So it all comes back to it, man. It's like you do the work and it happens.
Yeah. Look at your narrative though. I want everybody to pay attention to his narrative. Like I love the pursuit. I love the discomfort. I love you have to have that narrative because that's exactly what it is. But it is also true, man. That's like true fulfillment comes from growing and giving. So it's like my wife, we got to a point where we moved to Maui and lived the life that we wanted to live. Like that's like, that was like this goal, this work, this grind to get there. And then we get here and then I'm like we're talking about reaching a level, like a goal and then needing to level it up. Cause I had reached, it's like I got there and it's like, it's a goal that I didn't even know if I'd ever get to. And so, you know, here for a couple of months, and then it's like, well, what's next? You know,
what's next?
And then I start this education company, and this education company, my wife all the time would be like, "What? Why are you doing? Like, why? Because it takes so much, dude. It takes so much, but it's fulfilling, bro. It's like I don't care. I literally don't care the trial. I don't care the challenge. I don't care. I don't. Like whatever's, I know the purpose behind it, the why behind it. And it's the fulfilling aspect of it, you know? So that's what it is. That's what gets you through. It's something bigger than us.
Yeah. And the coolest part there is with like the education company, like empowering others, like you start to get your fulfillment through other people's success. And like, as the people you touch, as they get more successful, you get more successful. So it's like everything moves in this just really positive direction. Like if you do it right, you know, if like you're actually focused on providing value to people and that's what you hang your hat on. And there's some like integrity there, right? It's not the online course guru and it's not, you know, all this funnel talk and maximizing, you know, your leads off of people because they're really people. But if you provide like get your fulfillment out of that. And that's what I'm finding really cool in it right now, is that it takes a little bit of the pressure off me almost to like satisfy my inner desires, because it becomes that like helping other people gives you fulfillment. And that's been a really cool shift over like the last year.
Yeah, that's connection, man. It's like what better way to connect with people than to help them along their journey? It's beautiful, bro. So beautiful. So I want to get into the hotel space. I want the boutique hotel space with you, man. And why I'm in the multifamily space. So why the boutique hotel space? Like, why is that the one that you double down on? Sell me on boutique hotels.
Oh man, where to start? I just think they're so cool, man. First of all, like from the creativity outlet, like you can really like envision something, like the experience that you'd want as a traveler, of like what would be perfect. Like you have the opportunity to create that for other people and make money doing it. I just think that aspect is really cool. And I got into it through like my background at the very beginning was like an Airbnb in the acquisition, the operations. Me and my wife would, not great designs, but we design them out, furnish them, and like do that whole thing, and then do the refinance, go buy the next one. And we really did enjoy that process, and it was super rewarding for us because we, through that, replaced my Air Force income with like the net cash flow from the portfolio. And I was like, dude, that was my 5-year goal. I just did that in like 12 or 13 months. Like again, had to become a new version of myself, elevate the goals and what we were chasing. And that got me into commercial real estate. So I love apartments too. Love the asset class. I think right now is a little turbulent time in the multifamily space, but I think probably in the next now, or maybe even the next 18 months, a really good time to buy with a lot of these private equity companies, hedge funds trading out of assets to get more liquidity in their funds. So probably a good time to get into it. But I syndicated an apartment complex right around like the beginning of the COVID time. So through that, it was like my first big capital raise. Underwrited hundreds of multifamily deals to get there. So like got really comfortable with like the commercial underwriting, the deal structuring, the SEC regulations of the capital raise and all of that. So like I learned commercial by doing it. And like it took me 10 months to get my first multifamily deal, but I was like committed to it. And I was like, we're going to make this happen, or I'm going to make this happen and get this done. So at that time, COVID hits, kind of everything shuts down, and we're down in the panhandle of Florida at the time, which is a blessing in retrospect, because when the rest of the country was shut down, Florida and the beaches were popping, dude. It's like everybody that couldn't go outside was just coming to Florida. And I still don't think I've ever seen the beaches so packed. It was crazy. Like as soon as the ban was lifted, it was like hospitality was hurting everywhere, but here it was doing great. But these assets were old and tired and outdated, not using the online booking channels, not doing online reservations like call in or walk in, and they have no marketing, and just, older condition properties that they just let go. Right. So there's a really good opportunity to purchase. So that's why we ended up doing 5 hotel purchases in 13 months, because we got really good deals and really good locations and turned them around and, cash flow them, refinance them, ended up selling them, rolling them into this bigger one in Tennessee. And so that's how that was the genesis of it. And why I really like it is there's so many ways to add value. I mean, like in multifamily, right? You can increase the rents, you can lower the expenses, but on the hotel side, you can do better marketing, better listing distribution, better photos, like all these little things that can net you higher returns. And because it's commercial real estate, you're cash flowing higher than you would, and your equity multipliers are higher than they would be on a multifamily deal. So it's the same benefits of doing, a short-term rental versus a long-term rental. Your cash flow is higher for, not necessarily the same amount of work because you got to message guests and stuff like that. And at scale, you've got a guest experience is a big thing, but it's that same benefit of, you buy the same asset and you can do long-term rental or short-term rental on it. You do that with hotels, and they're commercial assets. They're protected against regulation. They're valued based on, the NOI now, not the comps of other houses in the area. So as you operate the property better, you're creating equity. And I just love it, right? You get the economies of scale, you get the cash flow of, short-term rentals, which more people are familiar with. And that's like a bigger asset class. But this hotel game, it's the commercial side of that. And I just love it.
I love it. I love that perspective. It's the commercial side of the the short-term rental vehicle. What would you say that? I love that you have experience in both, by the way. So what would you say your the biggest difference, if you can identify biggest difference from multifamily to boutique hotels on the
Probably
operations side? I would clarify. Yeah.
Yeah, operations side, I would say like you get to this point with short-term rentals where, you can get financial freedom. You can earn enough with a handful of deals, probably 3 to 7 or so, depending on what markets you're in. So a very reasonable amount of properties that you can purchase in a few years to get financial freedom, get out of your job. But with doing that, you kind of replace your W-2 with another job, which is managing those, 3 to 7 short-term rentals. You got the guest demand, you got the inventory, you got your cleaners, you got your handyman, you got, all the little upgrades and high touch stuff that you have to do. So you really create another job for yourself. So you get stuck in this middle level where you have enough money to get out of your job, but not enough money to reinvest to build your team from that point. So it's hard to scale now, unless you go like management and get a bunch of clients quickly, but then your system's breaking. There's not a lot of good short-term rental property managers. And now on the commercial side, so you can buy one deal that allows you to hire the team from the beginning. Just like a multifamily, which you're very, familiar with. If you buy whatever it is, 70 units or above, you can have an on-site property manager, on-site leasing staff, all that stuff. And it's like truly passive. Like you're really an asset manager managing the managers. It's the same with one hotel. And that might be, that might be a 15 unit, that might be a 30 unit hotel, depending on your market and the revenue that it's producing. But if you can get a hotel that generates 500,000 plus in revenue, which is not very hard to do in most markets, then you can hire in a, local property manager, somebody who's a W-2, works for you, manages that property. You can have your cleaning staff, probably contracted maintenance. You can use VAs for the guest, for the back end, the guest administration, or the guest experience and the admin, and really elevate to this place where you're now running a business, a hospitality business, but you have the time, the energy, that one's taken care of. And then you can go do whatever it is you want to do. Keeps growing and scaling to more hotels, traveling, spending time with family, like whatever that looks like. But with one deal, you can get that, or in most cases, definitely like two, right? And that's kind of why we scaled so quickly, is because we got into markets where we had like 14, 15 units in Panama City Beach and in Tahoe. And it made economical sense to get a second deal in each market and get up to like the 30 unit range to really like to hit the revenue we needed to then be able to hire a team and still have the same net margins, to get myself out of managing the team, being the director of operations, doing all the day-to-day management. And with fewer deals, you can hit your goals and then some. Like it's that's the biggest difference. And it's such an important one, right? Because like you get into real estate for the financial freedom aspect and to reap those rewards. If you buy yourself another job, like it's not that it's all for nothing, but it's a lot better when you get the scale in place.
I completely agree. It's like, what's the true outcome that you're looking for? And does this vehicle actually get you there? I think this is where people get stuck. They get stuck because they're already doing something, and it's not really the outcome they're looking for, but they're already doing it. So they're just going to keep doing it. But I love how you pivot along the journey to get you to where you want to be. How does it vary for your investors? Your structure is pretty similar.
Yeah, pretty similar. The first ones, like I've done them a multitude of ways. So the very first hotel I bought was just a straight Burr B&B. So bought it, brought in a couple passive investors that just had, like a debt investment, and then paid them off when I refinanced. On other ones, it was partnerships. So we had fewer, bigger investors where we could just structure it as a partnership, keep the legal very simple operating agreement, and rock and roll from there. And this most recent was bigger. It was a $4.1 million raise. So we structured that as a syndication raise from more than a handful. I don't know, 14, 15 investors maybe, to pull together that 4.1 million. So it's very typical of what you'd see in the multifamily space on the syndication side. So that's a cool thing, man. Like once you put the tools in your tool belt, you can knock these deals down a bunch of different ways. And what I think is really cool, especially in this time that we're living in, is the baby boomers are retiring like crazy. And most of the hotels, and really most of the businesses in the US, hotels included in that, are owned by that baby boomer generation. A lot of them have, maybe have kids that have grown up in the industry with mom and dad, being the maintenance guy, being the front desk, being the cleaning staff. They don't want to do that. So they have nobody to hand these properties over to. They're, outdated. They're tired properties. They're not operating as a hotel should be today to get the guests who are looking online to travel. So it makes a really good case to go to these sellers and structure in seller financing. So 3 of my 6 have been seller financed, and in all cases, some sort of creativity on the financing side. So
It's awesome.
good opportunities out there.
Yeah. They've owned it. How long have they typically owned it? Like some of these seller financing, they owned it for
Yeah, I looked
generational
at
type
this at one
property.
time. I think like the average was like 15 years. It might have
Okay,
dropped
yeah.
because like the most recent guy, he bought it out of foreclosure 2 years ago and just wasn't doing what the property needed and knew that, and just wanted to kind of focus his attention elsewhere, and got a good little spread of owning it for 2 years. But most of them have been long-term owners.
Good deal. I love it. Is that what you look for when you're going in targeting one? Are you looking for ones that have the operational side, like operational inefficiencies that you can come in and improve that they just
Yeah.
don't have in place?
I
Yeah.
love the ugly ones, man. I love a transformation. All of my projects have been big value add, from full gut from full gut renovations, redoing everything, to just big in scope of just the size of the property. Of, all right, now we're adding kitchenettes, we're doing new flooring and paint and fixtures and furnishing the whole thing. So we've done a variety of renovation scopes, but I like the ones that are tired both operationally and physically, like the asset itself, but focusing on good locations. So my last 2 in Panama City Beach were like across from the beach. The next ones I buy are going to be on the beach, right? And then we're going to do
Love
boutique hotel conversion 2 in the sand. It's going to be great, one day.
it.
That'll happen. I'm going to start taking the action towards it now.
Hey, I love it,
But
bro.
but I like the ones that have the upside and just need the vision, need the right operator to come in. And what I'm typically looking for is, where can we add the amenities? Like, where is there space to make this more than just a hotel, but an experience? So I typically want something
Mm.
with more land. Like, I was just looking at some in Moab, and I love Moab as a market, Moab, Utah, like the 2 national parks, all the hiking trails, the mountain biking trails, the ATV trail. Like, it's such a cool desert paradise. But the 2 hotels I looked at were like just motor lodges with like just the parking lot and the rooms. I was like, that doesn't really match the vision of the asset that I want to own and operate, and doesn't really create the guest experience that matches our brand as a company. So I'm looking for something that has space that we can add amenities, whether it be pools or hot tubs, or like at this property now that we're doing in Tennessee, we're adding putt and pickleball and a game room, a fitness center, a pavilion, an outdoor pool bar. Like, this freaking property is going to be dope when it's done. So I want space to add stuff like that, because I want the brand to be built out in this vision that prioritizes the guest experience. So it's very stringent criteria. But not every property that I bought to get to where I am now met all of that, right? They had limited outdoor spaces that we could maybe add, a fire pit, or maybe add a hot tub or something like that. And I think those are good thought practices of, starting out on these smaller scope projects and figuring out what you can put in place to maximize the value of them. And, just think, if like you're listening to this, you don't have to start out with the 130 unit property that's a multi-million-dollar renovation. My first property was 357,000. My first hotel. Super low price per key. The second one was 950,000 for 15 units, and then 1.1 million for 18 units. So it's like, you can get really good deals. One of those ones was seller finance too. So I was in for 10% down, super low price per key, had the budget I needed to do a really nice renovation and create it into something cool, even though like the outdoor space was limited. So there's different routes you can go with it. And I think as long as you're in a good market where people are traveling, and you can see the vision of like this being a cool place that you yourself would want to travel to, or like, if you can extrapolate yourself out to a larger demographic of, will all the mountain bikers that are coming here to ride, will they like this? And then what amenities can you add for them? Or, maybe it's, I don't know, like I've got a member of my mastermind that just bought one in Palm Springs. So it's like, how do you set this up for all the influencers to come out to get you the free advertising and, fill this up with Instagram alone? And just looking for what that key is with the property, but being on the X to what draws people in there. Because there's really good hotel assets and really good locations out there that are just dog shit properties that need a good investor to come take them over.
Principles that I want to just drill home. One of them is, bro, I say that when the target is clear, success is near, and your target is clear. You're not going to vary. Like, your target is clear, and it becomes clear on the journey. Sometimes in the very beginning, your target, like you said, I'm just repeating what you said, target may not be that clear. Like, it doesn't need to be this big thing. but you're going to just continue to hone that in, but you have to have a target for what you're doing. And then you're looking for those opportunities all the time. I call it flip the focus, switch seats, where you're seeing it from their perspective. Like you said it right in the very beginning that I loved. I caught it immediately where you said, I see it from like, if I'm a guest here and the experience that I want to have. And then that's the key to it. That's how you create it. Business is an experience, man. It's nothing more than an experience. You're always making people feel a certain way with what you do and how you do it. And so if you could really like take it and flip it from their perspective and put yourself truly in that seat, you'll be able to do what Blake has done, which is provide massive value to everybody who comes to his apartments and be clear on what apartments fit that mold to create that experience, man. This is powerful. It's awesome.
100%, man. On the smaller side, 10, 15, 20 units, you can go a million different directions with that property and still make it work. So again, going back to how we started at the beginning of the podcast, you don't have to have everything figured out. You just got to have faith in yourself to figure it out over time. So put in the offers, man. Go get it done.
You just have to have faith in yourself that you will figure it out or to figure it out. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you one more question, tactical question, which is your markets. Like when you're doing your market research, what are you looking for? You're talking about people traveling there. So are there, KPIs, I call them KPIs, but key performance indicators within the market that you're looking for that are your most important?
Yeah. So I like to start out high level with like the appeal of the market, right? So like I'm, looking for the girl in the bikini type of markets, right? The one that catch your eye. You're like, all right, they're just like, subjectively a cool place to be in, like Panama City Beach, Lake Tahoe, like national park markets, beach markets. It could be state park if you got a lot of travel there, points of interest, whatever that is. But like typically these destinations, like Branson, Missouri, in the middle of nowhere, but it's like a little mini Vegas. It's like markets like that, that have things that inherently bring people there already. That's where I like to start. Then from there, I like to look at the population growth, right? I want to know that market is having a net positive with people coming into the market, and it's not a dying off market. Like a lot of these, older town, small town beach markets that, people are moving out to the cities, and that's not quite where people are traveling anymore. Like travel trends do change like that. So you want to look at the population growth. And then I would look at like the local tourism statistics to see who's traveling there, from where are they traveling. Like for Tennessee, we know in the Smokies specifically, we know most people come from like North Georgia, Ohio, Alabama, and North Carolina. So like those are the 4 feeder states. Like you think about those markets, right? Those are like Montgomery, Atlanta, Charlotte. You got Knoxville, obviously, like there's a lot of Tennessee people that come there too, and Nashville. So like those are the big metro areas that kind of feed in, right? And then think about who's there and then why they're coming to this market. So then you've got like kind of going backwards, you got the appeal market, the population growth, the travel statistics, and then you want to narrow it down to your avatar of who's traveling there and see how you can create a product that would fit that demographic of people, because that's how you're going to out earn the competition. If you've got plain Jane hotel and you fit more closely to the people who are traveling there, you're going to be able to charge higher rates. You're going to get better returns, and like that deal is going to work out way better over time. So I like to start with the destination markets because I like to go where, buy and go where I like to spend time at. So the mountains, the beach, ski resort towns, like I love those kind of areas. And then I just want to know it's a good economic play. And then a little sub factor that I like to put in there. And I personally screen these out now, unless like the caveat would be unless you live there nearby, is markets that have a big enough population to staff your hotel. So if you don't have a labor pool to fulfill the size of the hotel that you're buying, you become the one that does everything, which you don't want to do. So you want to have enough, a big enough hiring pool to staff it.
Mastermind, your event that you're doing is going to be phenomenal. I know it because I know, like just how simply you just explained that. You can learn a lot about like somebody's knowledge with how simply they explain it. You just crush that. So I love it, man. I'm excited for that event to hear how it goes. And once again, man, for any of you who are interested at all in the boutique hotel space, which you should be, I'm very interested, man. I have you on here for a reason. Like it's
On the
appealing
come up,
for a
man. You guys
reason.
are going to start hearing boutique
Yep.
hotels a lot more frequently. I'm telling you.
I agree with that. I actually totally agree with that. So anybody who's interested, man, go to the event September 13th and 15th in Knoxville, correct?
Yep, just outside the Knoxville market, closer to Smoky. So picturesque setting.
How do they get a hold of you? How do they learn more about the event?
Best way would be, yeah, you can hit me up on Instagram. It's Blake J Dailey on there. So if you got, questions about hotels, if, you're dealing with your own doubts and fears and want me to help you squash them, like feel free to reach out. Love connecting with you guys, and just helping where I can. So you can reach out on Instagram.
Okay, I'll throw it in there. I'll throw the link and everything and all your in the show notes. So y'all hit him up, get to the event, and man, follow him, man. Follow him and learn
I guess
the
I should
lessons.
say this. Speaking of the event, it's boutiquehotelcon.com. So you can you check that out. So boutiquehotelcon.com.
It's a great domain name. Boutiquehotelcon.com. Okay, we'll throw that in there too, bro, for sure. Any last things, bits of advice or anything that you would share with somebody who's a newer investor looking to transition to a new space or just grow in the space? Any last bits of advice that you would offer?
Yeah, I think just harping in on do the work required, man, and be ready, be willing for it to take a little bit longer than you think it should, and be pleasantly surprised when when stuff just takes off. Because I think if you're doing the things that you should be doing, right? If you're trying to grow in real estate, right? It's analyzing deals, it's finding leads and then analyzing deals, and then here's the third one: you got to put in the offers. It doesn't do any good if you just analyze. Yeah. So put in the offers. Amen. Don't be afraid of rejection, and just do the thing and watch the things that you want come to you. I think it's such a man. It feels like such a weird thing that you would think that, oh, I do the thing, I get the thing. So just do the thing.
But it is though, bro. I think that the advice is phenomenal, which is what are the actions you need to take to produce the result that you desire? Go do that shit non-stop,
just boil it
man.
down. Yeah, don't get in your head so much. Like if nobody's told you this and you're listening, like me and Tyler, we believe in you. You can do this. 100%. And I say that genuinely because if you just boil it down to a series of simple steps and just do those things and do them consistently, you get in your reps, just like going to the gym, you will get stronger and you will get better. So put the work in, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. And then hit me up.
Agree, man.
Like, dude, it worked out. And I'll be like, great.
Hey, do the work to squash the fear, damn it. Best quote of the episode, brother.
Yes.
Hey, Blake, thank you so much, man. I love chatting with you. I feel like you just crushed this. And to everyone out there, I know that you pulled value from this. Go follow this man. Go share. Go leave a review. Go follow everything that he does. Get to the event. And then live always aloha. Peace.